Hey y'all, this is Amanda and welcome back to my Texas Zone 8A garden. And today we're in the front garden and we are finally going to be pulling up all of these beautiful violas that were so beautiful this season. We're going to be pulling them up all the way around the front of the border and we're going to be planting teeny tiny sunflowers in their place. So every winter season, I love to put in some beautiful color that does really great throughout the colder weather. And violas are always a really great option. They do really good until our temperatures consistently begin hitting in the 80s and 90s. At that point, they really start to die back, as you can see right here. But that is perfect timing because once those are dying back, that's the time when a lot of my perennials, and you can see like my quickfire hydrangea, I've got my cardona sage here, I've got all my liatris coming up. That's the time when all of my perennials are coming up in late spring and into summer. And so it's a great time to go ahead and pull up these violas. This spring season was a little bit new to me in that last fall I planted several muscari bulbs in the front portion of this garden bed, and I am absolutely obsessed with how well they did this year. I'll be sure to put up a picture to show you. But now we're at the end of the season for the muscari, so it's time to cut all of this back, remove the violas, and I want to replace them. Well, what do I want to replace them with? Yes, I could absolutely go and buy some bedding plants, but I am trying to save on some money in this portion. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to be planting sunflower seeds along this whole front portion and along the side of the bed. Now, most of the time when someone thinks of sunflowers, you think of the really tall mammoth sunflowers, and obviously that is not something that's going to work well in the front portion of this bed. So there are actually sunflowers that come in all varieties of shapes, sizes, and heights. And so I am going to be planting some shorter varieties of sunflowers here. So I'm going to be working with 3 varieties today. All of these varieties were purchased from sunflowerselections.com, which is one of my favorite places to purchase sunflowers. They have a wide variety available. The prices are fantastic. The website's a little old school, but it's fine. It works just fine. And I've always been really happy with their shipping process and their customer service. So let's talk about the 3 varieties we're going to grow today. The first one is called a munchkin, and it is a much shorter variety. It's still a beautiful yellow bloom with a yellow center, and it tends to be about the 24-inch range, which is really nice. And I like it because it also has a single sunflower. Sometimes it has a little bit of branching, but barely any, but it's actually great for a cut flower. Now, the flowers I'm going to be planting here, or the seeds I'm going to be planting here, I'm not going to be utilizing as cut flower. I want them to grow up and fill this front border for me instead. The next variety I'm growing is teenies, and the teenies are about 12 to 24 inches, so they're even smaller. They're a little bit branching in that they'll have multiple buds on the same stem, and they are super sweet. They're very whimsical. They feel very munchkin land, which is really fun, but they're teenies, and they're going to be mixed along the border as well. And the last variety I'm going to be growing is a double dandy, and this has a little bit of a different personality in that it has a little bit of plum color, just some kind of a different texture. It looks more like a double sunflower than your traditional sunflowers, but that's going to be worked into the border as well. It's about 12 to 24 inches tall. Now, I am going to be mixing these varieties up some. I do want to make sure that my taller ones, the munchkins, I'm going to work back towards the side of the garden amongst the liatris. And then coming around the curve, I'm going to mix in the teenies and the double dandies across. So let's go ahead and start pulling up these violas and cutting back the muscari so we can prepare this bed for the new sunflower seeds. Now, as I'm removing these, I'm not really concerned about pulling up the roots. These plants will die all the way back, so they're not going to come back. Sometimes they reseed themselves, but it's never been a big issue for me. And so basically all I'm trying to do is pull up the plant. And truthfully, I'm cool if a lot of the bedding mix from the original bedding plants gets left behind. That's only going to improve the quality of my soil. Okay, so we've got that whole area cleared out. I removed all the violas and I cut back all the muscari. I also forgot to tell y'all I had some Mount Hood daffodils in here, which were ridiculously stunning this year. They're absolutely gorgeous. I wanted to show you a few of the plants over here too. Okay, so let's talk about a few of the varieties. I do have the Cardona sage here. Absolutely beautiful perennial that puts off like these almost magenta blooms. I really need to, it's about time for it to cut it back and restart it. I also have a quickfire hydrangea, which is starting to set its blooms as well. I've got a heuchera, wild berry heuchera tucked in here. I have a Japanese anemone, I believe it's called Fantasy, kind of peeking out. Also have some white salvia. This right here is a cherry truffle heuchera, which is really beautiful. I also have a black pearl heuchera, and look how gorgeous that guy is. Absolutely stunning. It's doing really good. And then back here, I have some serendipity allium peeking out. I love how all of these are just almost combined. Right here I have another wild berry heuchera and another cherry truffle heuchera. And then these are Merlin hellebore right there. And they've already bloomed, but their blooms last for so long they just fade to green. Look really pretty. I guess there's some fresh blooms still coming up, which is really nice. And then of course I've got all my super petunias tucked in here. I've got, back there I've got phlox, I've got some super bells back there. This area is looking really, really nice. Look at how the super petunias have taken over. They're glorious. And for those of you, when I planted those delphinium back there, they're doing really, really well down low. So everything's looking really nice. So let's go ahead and get those sunflowers planted. So in this front area right here, I'm not really worried about adding any kind of fertilizer. This area is well fertilized, and sunflowers actually do great without fertilizer, which is nice too. But I am going to loosen up the soil a little bit, like that. No big deal. And I'm going to start tucking in the Munchkin variety. These are a little bit of the taller variety. And I've got, like, this is an old weeding tool. And so basically these need to be planted about 1/2 inch to 1 inch deep. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a hole with my weeding tool, drop a few seeds in and cover it up. I am going to put these about 4 inches apart in kind of a sporadic pattern. I'm not going to be like really formal with them. It's the summer and I would love for them to just do their own thing and fill in really nicely. Okay, for this next portion, I'm going to be mixing the teenies and the double dandy. And I'm really just going to mix them in my hands, y'all. I'm going to mix them up in my hand and then just grab what I grab when I'm putting them in the front. The seeds do look a little different. I'm just going to mix them up and I'm going to work them across this front area with my little dauber again. And these are also planted about 1/2 inch to 1 inch deep. About 4 inches across. Okay, once you have all of these planted, the important thing is going to be to keep these nice and moist, because the moistness of the soil is what's going to help soften the outside of the seed and allow the seed to sprout. And so I will come out here on a daily basis to water these seeds until they begin sprouting. Now, once they begin sprouting, I don't have to water as consistently, but I do want to make sure that I keep them consistent until they do sprout. And I think since this Cardona sage is flopping already and there's a lot of new growth at its base, I'm just going to go ahead, trim off the taller, looser ones that are falling over and allow it to concentrate on its new growth at the center middle of the plant. Yeah, that'll be good. All right, you all. I'm excited about this space. I'm also, I'm really excited to get the violas. I was kind of over the violas, but I wanted to make sure I was through my garden tour before I removed them. And so I'm excited to kind of get them out and refresh this area with all the sunflowers growing in. I'm really excited that I did it on, a less expensive approach than buying bedding plants. I love buying bedding plants, and we're going to buy bedding plants for the other portion, the front curve of the garden. But I did want to show you that you don't always have to go with that approach. You can definitely go back with seeds. I could have started all these seeds inside, grown them in little pots, and then come and planted them out. This was just the easier approach for me to just go ahead and plant them directly into the garden. So this will be really fun to update you guys along the way. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when my latest videos are up, and make sure you check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, she's Mad Gardener or Decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.